Good evening. My name is Sheila Saval. I'm the STEM coordinator for Greenwich Public Schools. And with me this evening, I have Bonnie O'Regan, who is our ALP facilitator, Adrian Hirsch-Klein, who is our World Language and ELL coordinator. We have our secondary instructional coach, Jennifer Bressler, and we have our three middle school principals, Gordon Beinstein, Tom Healy, and Jason Goldstein with us. This evening, if you have questions as the presentation proceeds, if you could just enter them in the chat and we will get to your questions at the conclusion of the presentation. We have two goals for today. The first one is that we want to understand the placement process for advanced studies in the middle school, and we also want to understand what the process timeline or the placement calendar looks like. The purpose of this process is to make sure that all of our students are placed appropriately in middle school courses. Each core course has very specific requirements for placement, and it varies by course. We have three programs in middle school mathematics. The first program is our core program. In the core program, a student would take course 6th math, course 7th math, and pre-algebra in grade 8, and they would be on track to complete successfully Algebra 1 at the high school. Our accelerated program, in grade 6, they will take Math 6A. In grade 7, they'll take pre-algebra. In grade 8, they'll take Algebra 1, and they'll be on track for geometry in grade 9 in high school. Our advanced course, our 6th graders will take pre-algebra. In 7th grade, they'll take Algebra 1. And in 8th grade, they'll take geometry, and they will take Algebra 2 in the 9th grade year. We do have another option that we just implemented this past summer. We offered Algebra 1 and geometry in summer school, and those students who successfully completed it were able to proceed to the next course. We listened last year to parent and teacher feedback, and so we have been responsive to that feedback, and we've made changes for this year's math and science placement for grades 5 to 6. We are asking parents at the beginning of the process for parent input. We will have a building advisory committee discussion, and student work are the most important criteria for placement. The STAR math and reading assessments are much lesser importance this year. So it's really the parent input, the BAC discussion, and student work that will determine, and teacher recommendation that will determine placement. We will be taking a look at the grade 5 year. That's all the work, the cumulative achievement, the parent input form, and teacher recommendation. We will still use the winter administration of math and reading STAR, but they will be much decreased in importance. These assessments will be administered in school during instructional time. This is an important slide. We'll linger on this just for a minute so that you can take this information down. At the conclusion of this presentation, we will post this presentation on the district website, and we will have shortly a Spanish translation of it. So from January 25th to February 4th, this is the STAR administration window. We are looking right now, because of some of the situations that we have in school, possibly expanding that window so that it's later so that we can accommodate all of our students. We will have a communication to parents within the next 1 to 2 days on that. February 1st to 26th, the parent input forms are available online. The deadline for submission is February 26th. If you are not comfortable submitting online, please contact your school and they will be able to get you a hard copy of that. Please fill an input form out for each course that your student will be placed in. So if you're a 5th grader going to 6th grade, you will want to consider giving us input for each of your students' courses to guide us. From March 8th to 19th, we will be holding building advisory committee meetings, and on March 26th, we will be sending out the math and science placement decisions. So let's just stay on this task for a minute so that you can copy these dates down. Okay, Bonnie, you can go to the next slide. There are summer school options for acceleration. We've had Bridge program has been in place for a number of years now. The purpose of this is to provide an additional route for enrollment in Math 6A, Pre-Algebra 7, and Algebra 8. For students that are going from grades 5 to 6, the Bridge course that you are able to take is the Bridge course to Math 6A. So if your student has been placed in Core Math 6 and they wish to be in 6A, they can take this course in summer school and take the placement test on July 30th. Also, if you, for some reason, cannot take the summer school course, you can register for just the exam. The registration materials are posted on the district website, usually in late March or early April. Algebra 1 and geometry will be offered for students who wish to accelerate in middle school math. They are also scheduled for normal summer school hours. The course is 2.5 hours in the morning, and there's 1 to 2 hours of extra work and office hours with the teacher in the afternoon. Registration instructions for those courses will also be on the website. In middle school, the advanced science course is based on the next generation science standards, middle school performance standards. It also has NGSS extension activities. For the advanced science student, there is increased rigor and also additional expectations. And this course contains a rigorous and comprehensive science research component. All grade 5 students have the opportunity to opt into advanced science. Here are the criteria that we will be reviewing. Teacher recommendation and parent input are very important. The cumulative science report card grade for grade 5. And for the science notebook, a minimum average of 3. In this morning's presentation, we had a question from a parent inquiring if this is an assessment. It is not. It's an ongoing grading process of student data in the science journal. So that happens throughout the school year. We will use the reading star winner administration scores, but they are much less important this year than they have been in the past. In advanced science 7 and 8, so if you have a student who is going into grade 7 and wishes to be in advanced science, or going into grade 8 and wishes to be in advanced science, the placement is based on teacher recommendation, parent input, and a cumulative review of the student work from this year.
Sorry, I was busy hitting the go. For advanced learning program, language arts and seminar. For the language arts classes, these are slightly above level. The students lessons are differentiated at a depth and in depth and complexity. There's a separate placement process for the advanced learning program. You will be getting an email from me tomorrow about the screening letters and about how you may go ahead and refer your child for the evaluations for placement. We will be looking at all of the referrals are due before February break, and then we will be giving additional assessments after February break in terms of the cognitive abilities test, the NWA reading assessments, and a performance task. We'll have the building advisory committee meetings at the same time as the math and science committee meetings, and then the placements, you will get the language arts placement letters are emailed at the same time the math ones are.
Hi, everyone. In terms of offerings in world language at the middle school level, we offer 3 tracks in Spanish. World language at the middle school level is an academic period set in a student's schedule. So there are 3 tracks of Spanish. There's accelerated, marked by 1A, 2A, and 3A, on level, which would be Spanish 1C, Spanish 2, then Spanish 3. And then we also offer a native track to students who are native Spanish speakers, where time is spent on reading, writing, and more rich discussion in Spanish. We also offer French at the middle school level. Students who take Spanish, who have taken Spanish at the elementary level, can switch to beginning French. Students who are already enrolled at JC in the French program can continue their study of French, which is why there is also an accelerated track of French offered at Central Middle School. World language study continues on to high school, can continue in Spanish or French, or a student in 9th grade can switch to another language. We offer a total of 7 world languages: Spanish, French, ASL, Chinese, Latin, Italian, and German. At the middle school level, we only offer Spanish and French, again, with the 3 tracks of Spanish emphasized. In March, you will be receiving an email from your student's FLES teacher asking whether your child would like to stick with Spanish if they've been enrolled in Spanish at the elementary level, or switch to French. So you'll be receiving some communication later in March about that. Next slide, please. Thank you. The placement in the accelerated Spanish track at the middle school level is based on a few criteria. In March, mid to late March, all 5th grade students will take what's called the Apple Interpersonal Listening Speaking Assessment, which is basically a Spanish interview given online. Your student will also take a brief reading comprehension and writing assessment in Spanish or French. Teachers also look at the average of the 5th grade unit assessments. We give 4 during the child's 5th grade year based on thematic themes of study. That's part of our curriculum. And then finally, and this holds a lot of weight, the teacher recommendation, which is informed by your child's classroom performance, their level of participation in Spanish and French, their motivation to excel. Please keep in mind that our FLES teachers know and have known your student as a world language learner for either the last 3 years, if they've been with us, enrolled with us for 3 years, or even 6 if they started world language at the early age of kindergarten in our magnet schools that offer it starting in kindergarten.
Students who are new to the district will participate in a placement process so that we can determine the appropriate placement for your student in a math and science class. If you have been a participant in a gifted program in another school district, that does not automatically qualify your student for placement in ALP courses in Greenwich. However, go ahead, Bonnie.
Oh, okay. I was just going to add on to that. If you have been in a gifted program in another district, all you need to do is email me the information and I will talk with you, and I review that information on a case-by-case basis.
This is an example of a sequence guide for the various programs that we offer in middle school. And you can see as you get to high school, the choices expand. If you have questions about your student's specific sequence or placement, please contact me. I'll be glad to have a conversation with you, as will the other coordinators if you have questions about any other content area. This is an example of language arts. As you can see that there are many ways that you can move through this program as well. Here are resources that are available to everyone. The Common Core Standards for Mathematics for grades 5 and 6, for ELA for grades 5 and 6. There are Smarter Balanced released items on the state education website in mathematics and ELA and science, and there are interim assessments in science available there as well. If you have further questions or you think of a question long after you've met with us this evening, if you have questions about mathematics and science, please contact me. If you have questions about ALP language art and seminar placement, please contact Bonnie O'Regan. If you have questions about world language and ESL or bilingual placement, please contact Adrian Hirsch-Klein. High school math, questions should be directed to Andrew Byrne, and in science, John DeLuca. Bonnie, do you want to read the questions? I'm coughing here. You're muted.
Sorry about that. What's the rationale for de-emphasizing the results of?
We are really interested in the students' work over and progress over time. The STAR is a one-day assessment, and we really feel we get a more complete picture of the student as we look at the entire year of work.
Please review which forms I need to send.
Okay, the form that you need to submit is the parent input form, and that will be available on February 1st. We would really like you to submit one for each course that your student will be placed in. So for us this evening, that would be world language, anything for ALP, mathematics, science, and ELA.
For math and science classes, what's the difference between accelerated and advanced placement?
The difference is that you are skipping 1 year of math in the accelerated, and you are doing a 2-year skip in the advanced. So for accelerated, you are skipping the grade 6 standards because 6A is based on grade 7 standards. And if you are in the advanced program, you are studying grade 8 standards, which is what pre-algebra is based on.
Which grades can take the summer program of Algebra 1 and Geometry?
We are doing that on a case-by-case basis because we have students in the district who are in different places. But it's important to note that if you are interested in those courses, you cannot skip through the prerequisite course before.
Is there French at East?
Yes, there is French at Eastern Middle School. It starts with beginning French, like it does across the 3 schools.
Can a native Spanish speaker also take French?
So a native Spanish speaker can choose to take French instead of native Spanish. I don't know if the question is referring to whether a native Spanish speaker can also take French in addition to native Spanish. And at the middle school level, there's just not enough room in the schedule to allow for 2 language academic periods. So they would have to choose. Just know that the native language curriculum goes all the way through high school, culminating in AP native language, where a lot of our native speakers find success.
If a student is in an advanced program in grade 6, do they need to submit a referral to stay in the program?
Any one of the middle school principals, would you like to address that?
If they're already in an advanced program, we evaluate all kids at about this time to the end of the year and see if they should remain in that program or not based upon classroom performance and teacher recommendation. So there's nothing to submit.
Do you have to choose between both languages, or can a child do it?
So again, at the middle school level, a student's schedule is already very crowded with all of the academics that need to be taken. So a child will have to choose either French or Spanish. There's a little more flexibility at the high school to double up on languages.
For ALP, is the referral something parents can do on top of the other placement criteria, or is it required part of the process? It is not required part of the process. However, filling out the form will help us in our placement decision-making process. And then the next question, students who are already in ALP in 5th grade, do they have to take the assessments to be placed into 6th grade? Yes, they will be taking that as part of their course during the school day. Our son had 2 teachers this year. How will that impact the teacher evaluation? Will input from both teachers be taken into consideration?
Yes, we have a number of students in our remote schools, so they will have input of any teacher that has taught them or has contact with them so that we can get as much information as possible.
Are Linkit scores?
No, Linkit scores are not used in the placement process.
For science, what's the notebook with an average of 3 mean?
That means that the student has met the standard on all of their entries in that book, and it's an average score. So it's quite possible that a student will be above average in one unit and slightly below in another. That's why we're using the average. And that is aligned with the elementary report card.
Will we know our child's STAR result prior to when parent input form is?
No, we will not.
Why have STAR tests been de-emphasized this?
As I had said a little bit earlier, we're very interested in the students' progress over time. And we feel that the STAR is a one-day assessment, and we really want to take a look at the students' whole year so that we can place them appropriately.
Once a child is accepted into a program, are they guaranteed that placement if they switch to a different middle school?
Any one of the middle school principals?
Yeah, so students are going to be placed in the same courses that they were taking at the other middle schools. Our curriculum are aligned. Our teachers work very, very closely together. So anytime a student moves into our building, we're looking at what they were taking prior and having those conversations. So yes, they would be in the same courses.
We will need a list of the classes for which we need to submit the forms. This is the first I'm hearing of this. I can take this one, Sheila, because the form has the list of the classes right on it. And in the email that you will be getting regarding that, it will have the link and exactly what you need. Sheila, did you want to add?
No, that's exactly right.
Will there be a special placement test for ALP math and science like the language arts?
In middle school, we don't have ALP math and science. So we are not doing a test for science, and the only assessment that we are looking at other than the students' classwork would be the STAR assessment.
My 5th grader was in math ALP entering 5th. He's in remote school, but all ALPs are combined. Will he automatically be considered for the ALP programs or only math? Yes, I will put him, he will be considered for ALP. As it relates to bridge program, do students need to be enrolled in the full summer school program, which presumably includes other subjects, or can they just take the desired?
You do not have to be enrolled in the course. There are 2 options when you go into the course of study for middle school. One is to take the course and the test. The other is test only.
I'm not sure how the pandemic has affected the student performance. However, was the remote in-person learning this year taken into consideration for?
That's one of the reasons why we are looking for the criteria we are with the parent input, all teacher recommendations, and the student's whole year of work. That is the discussion that we have at the Building Advisory Committee meeting.
Can students take a placement test to get accepted into 6th grade pre-algebra, 7th grade algebra 1, and 8th grade geometry, or are placement tests only for the mid-level class?
We, for 6th graders, we do not offer placement tests for those courses. Again, if there is a special circumstance or you have an accelerated student, please contact me and I will be glad to discuss your personal situation with you.
If the student is already in ALP in 5th grade, will that be taken into consideration? All teacher input will be taken into consideration, including that of the ALP. Do current ALP math students now transition into ALP math as they do ALP ELA, or is the streamed math programs discussed the first quarter? All ALP students are being assessed for placement into the middle school ELA and their and the correct math levels. Sheila, did you want to add to that?
No, I just emphasize that all students will go through the math placement process.
If a student is ALP in 5th grade, should the parents submit the parent input form for 6th grade placement? Yes, please do. Any and all parent input is valued in our building advisory committee. Did you say the bridge program classes are 2.5 hours a day, 5 days?
We are looking at the length of time for bridge classes. It is the algebra and geometry classes that have a longer class period because we are covering a year's worth of material in 5 weeks.
What is the NWEA reading assessment? The NWEA reading assessment is an adaptive assessment of reading comprehension. We use that for ALP language arts. How is summer school related to advanced play?
I'm sorry, Bonnie, I didn't get the last part of that question.
I'm sorry. How is summer school related to advanced placement?
It's related to where you'll be placed in middle school. It does not have a bearing on where you'll be in high school.
What is the NGSS interim assessment?
They are assessments that are part of our curriculum. They are generally given in class, and it really is a way to prepare the students to take the test and to explore deeper scientific concepts. It's not really something that parents have to worry about, but if you're interested in what resources are available in science, that is a very valuable resource that we use. Jen, is there anything else you'd like to add to that for middle school?
No, that's it. It's a complicated platform, so we want the kids to have experience manipulating the data on the screen, and it's just a great conversation too about those deeper science concepts.
How do I know if my child will be recommended for ALP? Should I submit a parent referral or wait for the teachers to tell us? I will be sending that information, and the next question has to be about what the screening letter is tonight or tomorrow. That will let you know whether or not you're already on my list, or if I would like and invite all parents to fill out the referral form. Please explain what the building advisory committee is.
The building advisory committee is made up of the building administration, any teachers who have contact with the students. So for instance, if we're looking at grade 5, we're looking at grade 5 teachers. The grade 5 ALP teacher is there as well. And then there is also an administrator from the middle school so that we can have a comprehensive discussion. And if there are other teachers, such as special ed teachers, they are also invited.
That's related to the next question. Do students who are in ALP but also have an IEP due to learning challenges held to the same admission standards as other students? This is why we have the special ed staff there, so we can talk about that each child is individual. When will the math placements test take?
I'm sorry, could you say that again, Bonnie? You're cutting out.
When will the math placement test take place?
The STAR window as it stands right now is January 26th to February 4th. We are looking at expanding that window to ensure that all students have enough time to take the assessment and also complete any makeups that may be necessary.
Based on those dates, will the STAR test be administered next week? With remote learning as fluid as it is in, are we able to nail down?
Nail down what?
Can you nail down the date?
We will
which day they're going to take?
No, we can't. That's scheduled by building and by classroom. So we will be sending out that information shortly.
Will math ALP students take COGAT and performance assessments? not for math placement. If a child chooses French, can they later on pick up Spanish again?
Yes, they can pick up Spanish again at the high school if they decide to either continue with French or switch to French. We offer Spanish. We offer all levels of Spanish at the high school from beginning all the way to AP.
Would you recommend fifth grade students explore NGSS resources now or while in sixth grade?
I would recommend that they do it in sixth grade. The elementary school curriculum is very comprehensive and challenging, and they are exploring the science and engineering practices, the disciplinary core ideas, and also the cross-cutting concepts throughout the K-12 continuum.
When do students take the NGSS? Sixth or seventh grade? We haven't seen results of such assessment.
The NGSS assessment is a state assessment, and it's given in grades 5 and 8. And that's usually in the spring of the year.
How does the appeal process work after placements are?
We are actually this year collecting information continuously throughout the year, and the placement is an ongoing discussion with the building level team and the grade 6 representatives.
Do English classes become tracked based on the math classes a student takes? If a student is in regular sixth grade math, will his or her classes be filled with other sixth grade math students, or are the classes more mixed? When middle.
I think that that's a good, important question too, because we hear the word tracked a lot, and I think it's important to really look at it more as pathways. Because as we've heard a lot tonight, we're constantly assessing and reassessing every student as an individual based on the information we have in front of us. We know that students develop and mature at different points and times in their lives, and we're always looking to make sure they're challenged at an appropriate level for where they are at that particular moment. So in regard to that particular question, students have options to be in the appropriate level across all content areas in the middle school. So they're not just grouped together because they are advanced in one area. We ensure that they get whatever they need in each content area.
If I could just add on to Mr. Healy here, I think there's also this misconception that once you place in, or once a decision is made, let's say from 5th to 6th grade, that you're sort of stuck there in whatever pathway. And it couldn't be further from the truth, in the sense that, as Mr. Healy said, we're monitoring, we're adjusting. And so students, sometimes they move up to something more challenging. Sometimes they have to back off to something that maybe was a little too challenging along the way. And that way is not just 6 through 8, it could be that longer path as well. So it's not a, once a decision is made, that's it. It's a constant, refinement.
I think one thing that helps us with that too is we don't have an ALP teacher. Each teacher teaches every level. So they'll see kids in on-level science and advanced science, and they'll say, this kid's maybe more appropriate for this level or not. So it's as they said, it's very fluid.
When you refer to makeup tests, is it because of a missed day, or do you re-administer the test for any other reason?
There are many reasons that a makeup test would become necessary, particularly in this environment. So whenever we have a situation where a student misses the testing day, we do offer a makeup to them.
Do students who are in ALP but also have an IEP do learning challenges held to the same output standards as other students? That is all determined on their IEP and their services and goals. Middle school principals, did you want to add on to?
I think similarly, it's a scenario where we're looking at each student on a case-by-case basis, where their strengths are, where their challenges are. So those placement decisions will be made as a team with those people that know the student the best.
Are there any other questions? Is it possible to provide a list of FAQ?
We can provide a list of questions that were asked during tonight's meeting, and we can make that available to you.
The video of this morning's and tonight's presentations are being uploaded. I know this morning's is already uploaded, and this one will be uploaded shortly. Any other? Will fifth graders take the NGSS assessment or anything for science?
No, there is not an assessment for science placement. A large part of the assessment process is the science notebook, the teacher discussion, parent input, and recommendation.
We have a request to combine the FAQs from this morning's and this evening's sessions.
We can do that.
Can be done. Any other?
If there aren't any questions, we'd really like to thank you for spending time with us this evening. And if you have any other questions that you think of after the meeting, please feel free to contact us. And just a reminder that this presentation will be uploaded. The PowerPoint will be uploaded to the district website. We've got more questions, Bonnie.
Those are just thank yous. You're welcome.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much for attending. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.